The day the Empire arrived was the day the world would never forget. It began like any other, with the sun rising over the cities of Earth. But soon, the sky would be forever changed. Massive ships, as big as entire countries, appeared from nowhere in Earth's atmosphere, blocking out the stars. They were the ships of the Galactic Empire. Mysterious, powerful, and terrifying. Humanity had been mourned for years. There were whispers of an empire stretching across the stars, conquering worlds, enslaving civilizations. But Earth had always been safe, hidden behind its protective orbit and vast oceans. People thought that no empire, no matter how vast, would ever care about a small, insignificant planet like Earth. But now, the rumors were real. At first, it was just one ship. A sleek, dark vessel that hovered ominously above the capital cities of Earth. Its presence alone caused chaos. Governments scrambled to figure out what was happening. Military leaders, politicians, and scientists gathered in panic. What did the Empire want? Why now? And most importantly, what should Earth do? The message came soon after. A transmission, broadcast across every frequency, echoing through the airwaves, the internet, and every communication device on the planet. It was a simple message from the Empire's leader, the Supreme Commander. People of Earth, the voice boomed, as cold and calculating as the ships in the sky. You stand at the crossroads of history. You are offered a choice. Kneel before the Galactic Empire and submit to our rule, or face annihilation. Your world will join the Empire as a vassal. We offer you our technology, our protection, and the benefits of our vast empire. Refuse, and you will know the consequences. The message was direct. Earth had been given an ultimatum. But it was not the first time a civilization had faced such a choice. The Galactic Empire was infamous for its ruthless conquests. They were known to demand total control, and any who resisted were crushed. The message was clear. Earth could either submit or be wiped out. The reaction on Earth was immediate and divided. In every country, people gathered in the streets, angry and frightened. Some feared the Empire's power and wanted to join, hoping for peace and protection in exchange for their freedom. Others, however, were not so easily swayed. To them, the idea of kneeling before an outside force was unacceptable. The idea of giving up their freedom, their independence, was something no one could accept. "We can't give in," said General Noah Clark, a respected leader in the Earth Defense Force. "If we submit to them now, we're signing our own extinction. We fought too hard for our freedom to give it away." But not everyone agreed. In the halls of governments and councils, some argued that survival was more important than pride. "We don't know what they're capable of," said Ambassador Maria Chen. "We've never faced anything like this. Our technology is nothing compared to theirs. If we resist, we risk everything." As the hours passed, Earth's leaders were torn. The military experts advised resistance, but they feared the consequences. Earth's weapons, though advanced, were nothing compared to the Empire's. No one knew the full extent of their technology, but rumors suggested it was far beyond anything humanity had ever seen. In the midst of this chaos, one person stepped forward. Dr. Ilara Mason, a renowned scientist who had spent years researching deep space technologies, claimed she had a plan. A contingency plan, she called it. But she refused to say what it was, only hinting that it could change everything. The world listened with curiosity. Could Dr. Mason have something that could save Earth? While governments debated, the Empire gave Earth 72 hours to respond. If they did not submit by then, the Supreme Commander promised they would reap the consequences. It was a grim warning, and everyone knew it meant that the Empire was serious. In the final hours of the deadline, Earth's leaders made their decision. They would not bow. Earth would not kneel before anyone. The message was sent out across the galaxy, a declaration of defiance. "Earth will stand free," it said. "We will not be your slaves." As the words echoed across the globe, people began to feel a surge of pride. It wasn't just a decision made by politicians or generals. It was the voice of every human on Earth. Earth had made its stand. It had refused to bow. But the Empire did not take kindly to defiance. Moments after Earth's decision was broadcast, the sky darkened once more. The Empire's ships shifted position, and it became clear that the consequences had arrived. Earth had refused to kneel, and now they would see just how far the Empire was willing to go to prove its power. The countdown to Earth's fate had begun. The world waited, holding its breath. Earth had made its choice, and now the consequences were about to unfold. The Empire had made it clear resistance would not be tolerated. The decision to defy them had already set the stage for a battle unlike any the world had ever seen. But Earth was ready. At least it had to be. Across the planet, leaders met in emergency sessions, trying to make sense of the Empire's actions. On the surface, the mood was calm, almost as if nothing had changed. But beneath the surface, the tension was thick, palpable. People spoke of the Empire's power with fear, but there was also a sense of pride. Earth had taken a stand, something that no other world had done before. The Empire's overwhelming force was frightening, but humanity's determination was stronger. General Noah Clark, head of Earth's defense forces, stood before the United Nations, the eyes of the world upon him. The military had prepared for this day, even if they hadn't known exactly when it would come. Clark's voice was steady as he addressed the council, though inside, his mind raced with the knowledge that the enemy's fleet far outnumbered Earth's forces. "We may not have their advanced technology or their numbers," he said, "but we have something far stronger: our will to survive. We will fight, not just for Earth, but for every world that has ever been oppressed by the Empire." His words rang out across the room, and though some still felt the fear creeping in, many found themselves nodding in agreement. The Empire had to be stopped. If not on Earth, then where? If humanity didn't fight now, when would they? While Clark and the military prepared for what was to come, Dr. Elara Mason, the scientist who had hinted at a secret weapon, remained quiet. She had spoken of a plan, but no one knew exactly what it involved. She was a brilliant mind, but there was skepticism. Could her contingency plan really save them, or was it simply wishful thinking? In her laboratory, deep in the heart of Earth's underground facilities, Dr. Mason worked tirelessly. Her lab was filled with strange machinery and advanced technology that no one else understood. The Empire's ships hovered above, and the world could feel the weight of the moment pressing down. But Dr. Mason was determined. She wasn't going to let the Earth fall without a fight. "We can't give up," she muttered to herself as she worked. "We've come too far." The Empire had given Earth 72 hours, but now the deadline had passed, and the world was bracing for the storm. The message had been clear: Earth had refused to kneel. And the Empire was not one to take defiance lightly. In the quiet of night, the first signs of the Empire's retaliation came. A flash of light lit up the horizon as a massive ship, larger than anything Earth had ever seen, fired its weapons. It was a display of power, one that Earth's military could not ignore. The world watched in horror as the Empire's dreadnought-class vessel unleashed a burst of energy that destroyed a small uninhabited moon in the farthest reaches of Earth's solar system. The explosion was visible, even from the planet's surface, and it sent a clear message. This was no empty threat. The Empire could and would destroy Earth if it came to that. But something remarkable happened in that moment. Earth did not cower. Instead, something shifted in the hearts of its people. The defiance that had taken root began to grow. The death of a moon, though tragic, sparked something deeper within humanity: anger. The idea of kneeling before such power became even less appealing. "We will not let them break us," General Clark said in his command center, his face a mask of determination. "This is just the beginning. Now it's time to show them what Earth is really made of." Across the globe, millions of people stood up. In the streets, in front of their televisions, In their homes, they refused to be cowed by the Empire's show of strength. Resistance groups began to form, rallying behind the message that Earth would not bend. They would fight, even if they had to fight with every last breath. At the same time, Dr. Mason's secret project was coming to life. She had promised Earth's leaders something, but the time for secrets was almost over. Deep in the heart of Earth's underground facility, Dr. Mason activated the first phase of her plan. It was a new kind of weapon, something that could turn the tide of battle. The details were classified, but she knew that it had to work. It had to. Project Aegis is ready, she whispered to herself, watching the screens flash with data. Now, we wait. As Earth prepared for the inevitable confrontation, the world united in a way it never had before. The Empire had miscalculated. They had thought humanity would bow to their will. But Earth was different. Earth was not like the others. It refused to kneel. And in that defiance, humanity's true power began to take shape. The day after Earth's refusal, the Empire's fleet took position around the planet. The massive ships loomed in the sky like dark shadows, waiting for the next move. The whole world watched in silence, anticipating what would happen next. The people of Earth were on edge, but there was also a strange sense of unity. For the first time in history, every nation, every group, and every individual was united in a single purpose: to stand against the Empire. General Noah Clark, the head of Earth's defense forces, stood in his command center. His mind raced as he looked at the fleet above them. He knew the Empire would come for Earth with everything they had. Their display of power, the destruction of the moon, had been a warning. The time for negotiations was over. "We can't let them intimidate us," Clark said, his voice steady but firm. "They think we'll fold, but they haven't seen what Earth can do." His words were comforting to the officers in the room, but they all knew the truth. Earth's military was no match for the might of the Empire. They had advanced technology, powerful fleets, and weapons that could tear apart entire planets. Earth's defense systems were good, but they were untested against such overwhelming force. In the weeks leading up to the confrontation, scientists and engineers had worked around the clock to prepare Earth's forces. Dr. Ilara Mason had been instrumental in developing the new defense systems that would give Earth a fighting chance. What she had created, Project Aegis, was not just a weapon, but a strategy. A way for Earth to fight back with the technology they already had. The only question was, would it be enough? As the hours ticked by, the Empire made its move. The first strike came in the early hours of the morning. A wave of ships descended from the sky, opening fire with precision weapons. The beams of energy cut through Earth's atmosphere, creating terrifying flashes of light across the horizon. Cities went dark as power grids were destroyed. The Empire had come to show humanity its strength, but it also made one mistake. They underestimated Earth's will to fight. General Clark watched as Earth's defenses activated. The first wave of missiles shot from Earth's surface, targeting the nearest Empire ships. It wasn't much, but it was a start. The Empire's shields easily absorbed the attack, but the response came quickly. More energy blasts rained down from the sky, hitting the surface with enough force to shake buildings. The shockwaves knocked people off their feet, and panic spread through the streets. "We can't hold them off forever," one of Clark's officers said, his voice filled with urgency. "We need reinforcements. We need something more." Just as the situation seemed bleak, Dr. Mason's plan came into play. From deep in the heart of Earth's military complexes, a signal was sent. It was time for the next phase of Project Aegis, a fleet of sleek, advanced ships, built in secret over the past few years, emerged from hidden bases on Earth's moon and distant space stations. These ships were equipped with stealth technology and weapons designed to disrupt the Empire's systems. The first strike came from Earth's new fleet, appearing out of nowhere, right behind the Empire's ships. With pinpoint accuracy, Earth's ships fired their advanced quantum artillery. The beams of energy hit their targets with stunning precision, causing explosions that shook the Empire's fleet. The Empire had never faced an attack like this before. Their ships were powerful, but Earth's new weapons were more than they had expected. The Empire's ships responded in kind, unleashing waves of fire, but the Earth ships were already moving, slipping in and out of the Empire's attack range, using their advanced cloaking technology. The battle was unlike anything Earth had ever seen. Ships moved in swift, unpredictable patterns, firing on Empire vessels and then disappearing before they could be hit. The Empire's fleet, though vast, was not prepared for this kind of warfare. Dr. Mason watched from her lab, her eyes glued to the monitors. She had known the first strike would be crucial, and she had hoped that her plan would give Earth the edge. It was working, but it was far from over. The Empire would not fall easily. Back on Earth, people were watching the battle unfold. News stations broadcasted the fight in real time, and the entire planet held its breath as the battle raged on. The Empire's arrogance had led them to underestimate Earth, and now they were feeling the consequences. Humanity had shown that it was willing to fight for its survival. But could they win? As the hours passed, the battle intensified. The Empire's ships began to regroup, realizing that their initial attack was not going to break Earth's resolve. They unleashed their most powerful weapon, a colossal dreadnought-class ship, far larger than any ship Earth had encountered. This ship was capable of devastating entire fleets with its weapons, and it moved toward Earth's defenses with terrifying speed. General Clark knew the Empire would not give up easily. The battle was far from over, and Earth's forces were still outnumbered. But for the first time, he could see a glimmer of hope. Earth was not outmatched. It was just getting started. "We're not done yet," Clark said, gripping the edge of his command chair. "This is only the beginning." The fight for Earth had truly begun. The battle over Earth had reached a critical point. The skies above the planet were a chaotic sea of flashing lights, explosions, and the deafening roar of energy blasts. Humanity had fought bravely, but the Empire's forces were vast, and Earth's defenses were being pushed to their limits. The first wave of Earth's new fleet had caused a surprise, but the Empire's dreadnought-class ship now loomed over Earth, its power unmatched by anything Earth had ever encountered. General Noah Clark stood in the command center, staring at the live footage of the battle. His heart raced as the dreadnought's weapons fired once again, destroying another of Earth's ships. The Empire was getting serious now, and every strike sent a shockwave through the planet's defenses. "We can't keep this up much longer," one of Clark's officers said, his voice full of worry. "They're too strong. The dreadnought is tearing through our fleet." Clark clenched his jaw. The Empire had thrown its best forces at Earth, and they were starting to make their mark. For the first time, the general felt the weight of the battle bearing down on him. He had always believed Earth could win, but now, as the Empire's ships advanced, he wasn't so sure. But then, just when it seemed like Earth's chances were fading, a new message came through. It was from Dr. Elara Mason. She had been quiet for days, working in secret on her contingency plan. The rest of Earth's military had only been told that the plan existed, but no one knew exactly what it entailed. Now, as the situation grew more dire, Dr. Mason's voice cut through the chaos. "It's time," she said, her voice calm but filled with urgency. "Activate Phase 2 of Project Aegis." Clark's eyes narrowed. He had heard of Project Aegis before, but the details had been kept under wraps. Now, the time had come to find out what Dr. Mason's plan truly was. Within moments, Earth's fleet began to shift positions. Ships that had been struggling to hold their ground against the Empire suddenly received a burst of power. The Empire's ships seemed to pause, confused, as their sensors flickered and malfunctioned. Dr. Mason had unleashed the second phase of her plan, an advanced AI system capable of disrupting the Empire's technology. The Empire's fleet relied heavily on its advanced systems, from energy shields to targeting technology. But Earth's AI had hacked into their networks, scrambling their communication systems and causing widespread chaos. The Dreadnought-class ship, which had been the Empire's strongest weapon, suddenly found itself unable to target Earth's ships effectively. Its weapons fired erratically, missing their mark as the AI sabotaged its targeting systems. In the heart of the battle, Earth's ships seized the opportunity. With their shields up and the Empire's systems in disarray, Earth's fleet launched a devastating counterattack. The ships that had once been vulnerable to the Empire's firepower now struck with precision, targeting weak points in the Empire's vessels. Explosions erupted across the battlefield as Earth's weapons found their mark. "It's working," Clark whispered, a sense of hope rising in his chest. "We've got a chance." But the Empire wasn't finished. As their ships staggered, regrouping and attempting to recover from the disruption, the Empire's command fleet issued new orders. The Dreadnought-class ship, now vulnerable but still massive, focused all of its remaining firepower on Earth's fleet. A beam of pure energy shot out from the ship, aimed directly at Earth's capital cities. The blast was powerful enough to level entire nations. If it hit, the consequences would be catastrophic. But just as the beam began to charge, Earth's last line of defense kicked in. A series of stealth ships, equipped with Project Aegis' latest technology, flew at incredible speeds toward the incoming blast. Using their advanced maneuvering systems, the ships deployed a special energy shield, redirecting the blast away from Earth and into the emptiness of space. The force of the blast still shook the planet, sending ripples through the atmosphere, but Earth had been saved, for now. General Clark watched in awe as Earth's forces, now empowered by the success of Project Aegis, began to push back. The Empire's Dreadnought-class ship, weakened and losing its power, was forced to retreat. The Empire's other ships followed suit, pulling back in confusion. They had underestimated Earth's ability to fight back, and now they were feeling the consequences. "This is it," Clark said, a fire igniting in his chest. "We can win this." The news spread quickly across Earth. The world's people, who had been watching the battle from every corner of the globe, now saw a turning point. They had not only survived the Empire's assault, they had fought back. Resistance movements across the galaxy, once hidden in the shadows, began to speak out in support of Earth. The Empire's stronghold in the galaxy was weakening. Dr. Mason, watching the events unfold from her lab, allowed herself a small smile. Project Aegis had worked. The first phase had given Earth the means to fight, and the second phase had leveled the playing field. Now it was up to humanity to finish what they had started. In every corner of the world, people felt the surge of hope. Earth had refused to kneel. And now they had proven that they were more than just survivors. They were fighters. The Empire's greatest strength had been shattered, and Earth had become a symbol of defiance. As Earth's ships regrouped and prepared for the next phase of the war, the galaxy watched. The Empire's worlds were no longer invincible. The turning point had arrived, and Earth was ready to lead the charge for freedom. The Empire's retreat was temporary, but for Earth, it felt like a victory. The mighty dreadnought had been forced to withdraw, and Earth's fleet, battered but unbroken, now had the advantage. The news spread quickly across the globe, filling humanity with hope and a renewed sense of purpose. People cheered in the streets, celebrating the unexpected turn of events. But General Noah Clark knew the battle wasn't over. This was just the beginning. As Earth's forces regrouped, Clark stood in the command center, looking over the latest reports. The Empire was not a force that would give up easily. Even though they had lost ground, they still had their strength, perhaps even more than Earth could fully comprehend. But the Empire's pride had been wounded. They had underestimated humanity's resolve, and now they would be forced to reckon with it. "We need to act fast," Clark said, turning to his officers. "The Empire won't stay down for long. If we give them time to regroup, they'll come back stronger than ever." Dr. Elara Mason, who had been the mastermind behind Earth's defensive technologies, stepped forward. She was calm, but there was a determined fire in her eyes. "I've been working on a countermeasure," she said, "a way to strike at the heart of the Empire's power. We have a chance to end this war, but we need to act quickly." Clark raised an eyebrow. "What do you have in mind?" Mason paused, her eyes flicking to the large screen in the command center. The image of the Empire's fleet hovered in space, each ship carefully plotted on the map. The Empire's strength lies in its command hub, located on their capital planet, Drenoth. If we can break their communications network, it could cripple their entire war effort. Without their command structure, they'll be left vulnerable. Clark considered her words carefully. He had known that taking the fight to the Empire's capital was risky, but if they could take down their communications network, it might give Earth the upper hand. "How do we get to Drenoth?" he asked. Mason's voice was steady. "We'll need to launch a stealth mission. My team and I have been working on a special kind of ship, one that can bypass the Empire's security. It's based on the technology we've been using to disrupt their systems, but with upgrades. This ship will be able to slip past their defenses without being detected." The plan was risky. Drenoth was one of the most heavily guarded planets in the galaxy, surrounded by layers of defense, from space stations to powerful shields. It seemed impossible, but Clark knew that this might be their only chance to turn the tide in humanity's favor. "Let's do it," Clark said, making the decision without hesitation. "Prepare the fleet." Within hours, Earth's ships were ready. They were small and fast, equipped with stealth technology and quantum engines designed to travel undetected. The mission was clear: infiltrate Drenoth's defenses, disable the Empire's command structure, and return with the information that could end the war. As the fleet launched into space, a silence fell over Earth's people. They watched the skies, waiting for news. The stakes were higher than ever. This mission, though small in scale compared to the vast battles they had fought, held the key to their future. On board the stealth ships, a crew of elite pilots and engineers readied themselves for the most dangerous mission of their lives. Leading the charge was Captain Alina West, a highly skilled pilot who had earned a reputation for her bravery. She was a symbol of Earth's defiance. Her crew was handpicked from the best and brightest, all of them willing to risk everything for the future of their world. "We've got one shot at this," Captain West said, her voice clear over the comms. "Stay sharp, in and out, no mistakes. We're not just fighting for Earth, we're fighting for every world the Empire has conquered." The journey to Drenoth was long, and every moment felt like a countdown. The stealth ships moved swiftly through space, avoiding detection by the Empire's powerful sensors. The crew remained focused, their eyes on the mission ahead. They knew that if they were caught, there would be no escape, but the thought of surrender was not an option. The Empire had already shown how they treated defiance, and Earth had no intention of letting that continue. As they approached Drenoth's atmosphere, the stakes became even higher. The planet's defenses were unlike anything they had faced before: an intricate network of shields, satellites, and defense stations. But the stealth ships, cloaked in invisibility, passed undetected through the outer layers. They descended into Drenoth's atmosphere, the command center now within reach. Inside the Empire's high-security facility, alarms suddenly blared, signaling that something had breached their defenses. The Empire's security systems scrambled, but it was too late. The Earth ships had already made it past the first line of defense. They deployed their ground teams, who quickly moved to disable the communication towers. "This is it," Captain West said. "We disable their communication system, and the Empire will fall apart." The mission was underway, and for the first time, Earth had the chance to strike at the very heart of the Empire's power. The Empire had underestimated humanity's strength, but now, Earth was showing them that resistance was not only possible, it was inevitable. In the heart of Earth's command center, General Clark watched the live feed. The mission was a success so far, but as the crew of Earth's stealth ships worked to disable the communication towers on Drenoth, Clark knew the true battle had just begun. Earth had taken the fight to the Empire, and the outcome would shape the future of the galaxy. The mission to Dranoth had been a success. Earth's stealth ships had infiltrated the heart of the Empire's power, disabling their communications and crippling their war efforts. For a brief moment, Earth's forces dared to hope that victory might be within reach. The battle for Earth was far from over, but now the Empire was reeling, uncertain, and vulnerable. Back on Earth, the news spread like wildfire. People celebrated, their spirits lifted by the success of the mission. The Empire, for the first time, seemed to be on the defensive, but General Noah Clark knew better than to let his guard down. He had seen the Empire's might firsthand, and he understood that they would not simply roll over. They would retaliate. "We can't rest yet," Clark said, his voice steady, though he knew the task ahead was daunting. "The Empire will come for us, and when they do, they'll be more dangerous than ever." Dr. Elara Mason, who had played a key role in Project Aegis, was already working on the next step. Her team was analyzing the data they had gathered from the disabled communication systems. The Empire's infrastructure had been severely damaged, but the enemy still had a massive fleet, and Earth's resources were limited. "They will retaliate soon," Dr. Mason said, her voice calm but filled with urgency. "We need to make sure we're prepared. The Empire won't be caught off guard again." Clark nodded. "What's our next move?" Mason looked up from her screen. "We've gained an advantage, but we need to use it wisely. We've learned a lot about their fleet's weaknesses, and if we can launch a concentrated attack on their remaining strongholds, we can force them to surrender." It was a risky move, but it was their best chance. Clark knew they couldn't let the Empire regroup, or it would be over. Earth had to strike again, this time in force. Meanwhile, the Empire was far from finished. In the depths of their command center on Dranoth, the Imperial High Command had been reeling from the blow to their communication network. The loss was more than just a technical failure. It was a massive blow to their pride. The Empire had never been challenged like this before. But now, they were preparing for a counterattack. Emperor Jarruk, the ruthless leader of the Empire, paced back and forth in his private chamber. His face was hard, his eyes cold with anger. Earth had defied him. They had humiliated him, but Jarruk would not allow a mere planet to stand in the way of his conquest. "Prepare the fleet," Jarruk ordered. "We will teach them the price of defiance. No more delays. We will crush their resistance once and for all." The Empire's ships were being mobilized at an alarming rate. Their vast armada, stronger than ever, began to converge on Earth's position. The Dreadnought-class ship that had once been forced to retreat was now back in action, its weapons fully charged. The Empire was bringing its full strength to bear, determined to crush Earth's rebellion in a single decisive blow. As the Empire's fleet moved toward Earth, General Clark made a final decision. Earth's defenses had been upgraded since the first battle, but the Empire's retaliation would be unlike anything they had faced before. They needed to act now, while the Empire was still vulnerable. "This is our chance," Clark said, his voice resolute. "We hit them hard, we hit them fast, and we show them that Earth will never kneel." The strategy was simple but dangerous. Earth would launch a surprise attack on the Empire's primary fleet, hoping to catch them off guard before they could fully mobilize. Earth's ships, equipped with the latest technology and weapons, would engage the Empire's forces in a full-scale battle. Captain Alina West, who had led the mission to Dranoth, was given command of the fleet for this operation. Her experience and leadership had earned her the trust of Clark and the rest of Earth's military leaders. "We're going in," Captain West said, her voice firm over the comms. "Stay focused. Our mission is to disrupt their fleet before they can strike Earth. We don't have much time." The fleet launched, moving through space with incredible speed. Earth's ships, designed for agility and stealth, quickly made their way toward the Empire's gathering forces. They were outnumbered, but they had the element of surprise on their side. As the two fleets met in the cold vacuum of space, the battle began. Energy beams flashed, missiles exploded, and ships dodged and weaved through the chaos. Earth's advanced weapons systems, powered by the research of Dr. Mason and her team, proved to be the key to their success. The Empire's ships, though large and powerful, struggled to match Earth's speed and precision. But the Empire's fleet was still formidable. The Dreadnought-class ship fired its massive energy beams, cutting through the ranks of Earth's ships. Explosions rocked the battlefield, and Earth's forces began to take heavy losses. The battle was turning into a deadly game of cat and mouse, with both sides striking hard and fast, trying to gain the upper hand. Captain West's voice crackled through the comms. "Keep pushing. We're not backing down. Earth will not fall." The clash between the two forces continued, neither side willing to give an inch. The battle for Earth had reached its most intense point yet. The Empire, once certain of victory, now found itself fighting for its survival. The strength of humanity was on full display, and General Clark knew that this fight was far from over. But for the first time, Earth had the upper hand, and the Empire's might was beginning to waver. The battle had reached its peak. In the vastness of space, Earth's forces and the Empire's armada clashed with unimaginable power. The fate of the planet hung in the balance. General Noah Clark stood in the command center, watching the live feed of the ongoing fight. His heart raced, and every decision carried the weight of humanity's future. The Empire had thrown everything it had left at Earth, but Earth's fighters, inspired by their survival and defiance, were holding their ground. The advanced technology developed by Dr. Ilara Mason had leveled the playing field. It was no longer just about firepower. It was about strategy, intelligence, and unity. Status report. Clark called out to his team. "Admiral West's fleet is holding strong," one of the officers replied. "But the Empire's dreadnought is wreaking havoc. It's their strongest ship, and it's taking down our ships one by one." Clark's face hardened. The Dreadnought-class ship, now more powerful than ever, was still the Empire's greatest weapon. But Earth had something the Empire didn't: unity. They had people who fought for their home, for their future, and for the freedom of every world the Empire had tried to conquer. "We can't let them have this," Clark said, his voice firm. "We need to take out that dreadnought, or this war ends in defeat. Do whatever it takes." Meanwhile, Captain Alina West was coordinating the defense from the front lines. Her heart pounded in her chest as she watched the massive dreadnought fire its deadly energy beams, cutting through Earth's fleet. But the captain wasn't about to give up. "We need to focus our fire on the dreadnought's weak points," Captain West said over the comms. "Hit it with everything we've got." The fleet responded with precision. Earth's ships fired relentlessly, targeting the dreadnought's engines and energy shields. Each hit weakened the Empire's massive ship, but the dreadnought was still a formidable opponent. It returned fire, sending Earth's ships spiraling into the dark void of space. Back on Earth, millions watched the battle unfold on their screens. Families, soldiers, and civilians alike stood together, holding their breath. Their world was at stake, and they had to believe that their people would survive. It was a time of fear, yes, but also of hope. Earth had come so far, had shown so much strength. Now, they needed to finish what they had started. Dr. Ilara Mason sat in her lab, analyzing the data from the battle. Her team was working tirelessly, trying to find any advantage they could use. And then she saw it, a flaw in the dreadnought's defense systems that could be exploited. The massive ship had a vulnerability in its energy core, one that could be triggered by a focused energy strike. It was risky, but it might be their only chance to end the war. She quickly sent a message to General Clark, outlining the weakness she had discovered. "We have a way to destroy the dreadnought," she said in the message. "But we'll need to focus all available power on that energy core. It's a long shot, but it's our best shot." Clark read the message and turned to his officers. "Prepare the fleet for a final assault," he ordered. "We're going to hit that core with everything we've got." The final push began. Earth's ships regrouped, coordinating their fire with deadly precision. The dreadnought, still a massive and terrifying presence, continued to fight back, but it was weakening. Each shot from Earth's fleet landed closer to the core, and the dreadnought's shields began to flicker. Captain West, leading the charge, gritted her teeth as she maneuvered her ship through the chaos. "Stay with me," she called out to her crew. "We're not stopping until that ship is down." With one final, concentrated strike, Earth's fleet launched their full assault on the dreadnought's energy core. A powerful wave of energy pulsed through space as the dreadnought's core exploded in a massive burst of light. The shockwave rippled across the battlefield, sending the remaining Empire ships into disarray. The dreadnought was no more. General Clark watched in awe as the Empire's forces began to retreat. The loss of their most powerful ship was too much for them to recover from. One by one, the Empire's remaining ships turned and fled, their commanders realizing that the battle was lost. Earth's forces didn't chase them. Instead, they held their ground, watching as the once mighty Empire crumbled before them. The Empire had underestimated humanity's will to fight, and now it was over. On Earth, the world erupted in celebration. The war was won. Humanity had not only survived, they had triumphed. The Empire, which had once thought of itself as invincible, had been defeated by the very people it had sought to crush. As the celebration spread across the globe, General Clark stood in the command center, his heart full of pride. "We did it," he said quietly. "We refuse to kneel." Captain West's voice crackled through the comms. "General Clark, it's over. We've won." And with that, the battle for Earth had come to an end. The Empire's worlds were no more. The galaxy would never be the same again. Humanity had proven that they would not be ruled, and that their spirit could never be broken. The future was theirs, and they would rise to build a new era of peace and freedom.